Hello and welcome to Hold Up, a movie podcast. Last time we examined what happens when politics breaks down and the fires of war consume and destroy. Tonight, we see what happens when the war gets cold and the battles are fought in the shadows. Get ready for secrets and stealing and chasing of all kinds, for tonight's theme is Spies. I am your host, Davan Skelhorn, and with me, as always, Chris Worldmind Murphy, and special guest, the great and powerful Jody Simpson.
Yes, I guess. Great intro. I don't know, but thanks for having me. I've liked listening to this podcast, so it's nice to actually be on it. So
We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
I'm a big movie
None of
guy.
us.
It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, I don't know if you realize it, but I used to work in a video store. So like that was my
Hmm.
when I was a teenager. So
Well,
That's
a very good
an
place to.
excellent segue. Yeah,
Oh,
I
is
would
it?
say, Devin.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't you say?
I would say so. It's time
Segue.
for origin stories.
Oh, okay.
What's with you in movies?
What's with me in movies? Well, movies
Yeah.
are been a passion of mine because when I was young, I grew up poor. And unfortunately, I didn't get to go to movies. So movies were something that the first movie I remember seeing in the theater was Back to the Future. So that was in '85 or '86. I can't remember. But I think it's '85. But yeah, so like it's movies have always been an experience for me. They've always been something that's taken me out of the gray areas of my life. And then later on in life, I had the option of running a video store for a while. So I did that for 2 years. So that was a lot of fun. I did the night shift at a
Watch movies all
franchised.
night.
Well, it was an interesting job because we had an adult section and we had a lot of people come in.
My.
It was interesting, I guess is the easiest way
The
to say
night
it. But
crowd was a different clientele. Is that what you're telling me?
yeah, but the thing that I really liked about the job was the fact that we got, I think it was three movie rentals a week or something like that as part of our pay as well. So I got to really, go nuts on movies, and that was back when VHS was a thing. Before even DVDs. DVDs weren't even out when I was working at the video store. So it was a lot of fun. I worked for a franchise store called Jumbo Video, which I don't know if anybody is familiar with that, but
Couple VHSs.
Yes,
yes,
I
but
remember Jumbo Video.
Yep,
Yeah.
I used to
to
work
be a
at
customer
one
of
of them.
Jumbo Video.
Yes, they were known for their
Me
free
too.
popcorn.
Yeah.
That was one of
And good
their big
popcorn it
things.
was.
It's like Rose
Yeah,
Video.
except if
It's
you had
just
to make
free.
it. Yeah, if you had to make it, you might not want to eat it, but it was
Yeah.
overall it was fun.
Right on.
So,
Right
but
on.
yeah, basically it's always been an escapism for me, I guess. And growing up, I started getting into a lot more of the production side of things to see, start appreciating movies for the shots and the setups and the various lighting and various other moods and techniques that are used to portray the without the actual actors. So I got into a lot of that too. So I started doing some of that in high school as well. So, but that's about it. But it's not all about me, is it?
No, but that might have been our best origin story yet. That
Oh,
was a good
okay.
one.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We like
will
to get
make
we like to
sure
get a
I
feel.
next time I talk to Dave Mater, I'll make sure I mention that to him.
Well, look, I got it. I'll tell you right now. We invite Dave on the show. He keeps bringing stinkers. Um,
Oh,
and you brought a much better movie than the two that he's previously brought. I'll tell
I'm
you that.
glad to hear that. I'm glad to
No,
hear that.
I'll give him a pass for Gattaca because I thought it was. I remembered it being good too, but it wasn't.
Gattaca was good at the time, but now that we've had
Yeah,
better
it just
movies
didn't
that have
hold
come
up.
out, it's not as good.
It, it didn't reach
Yeah, it's a
our
little
bar of does
stale.
it hold up. It's quite stale. It's
Well,
just
if we're going based on the premise of this podcast, I would say no, it doesn't. But
yeah, and
that's
that's what
just
we
me.
said too. Well, here's what you know what I think I'll just roll these at the start before we get going. So there's what we have for our A movies so far, Jody. That's what we've
House Party is in like
are great movies.
party.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's the best party movie maybe ever.
It was so stupid, but it was fun. Bridge over River.
No,
Amazing.
it is, but it's also poignant and beautiful, and like
It is.
it
It's a
holds
beautiful
together
movie.
so well.
They did
It's
a
just
remake
like,
of it, eh? I don't know if you saw that. There's a
And
remake.
apparently
no.
it's terrible.
Wow.
It's
It has to
terrible.
be.
Of course
and
it
I
is.
was told at one point, at one point they're like, "Yo, let's do the dance," and they do the exact dance that's in House Party.
Oh,
as some
you
sort of
can't do that without
callback,
kid in
and
play.
No.
Yeah,
That's
it's
terrible.
man.
Oh no.
So there's some
No.
great
And-
movies going on over here. Bridge Too Far. That's one of my favorite war movies.
These are our C movies.
Really?
Really? That's
These are
your
the ones
C
we
movie?
didn't like. This is our
Really?
C list. See, there.
That-
Yep. Here's where this is our
okay.
B list here.
What was the war movie in the B list? Guessing.
Neither. Bridge on the River Kwai and
That's a B list movie
1917
for you?
made
That
the
was
A-list.
great too.
No, that was.
But no, Bridge on the River Kwai is an A-lister. Bridge on the River Kwai in 1917
Oh,
made
okay.
our A-list.
Okay, good.
On the B list, we have like things like Tingler, American
Logan's Run. That's great.
I loved it, but I wasn't agreed with entirely on that.
Yeah, I know Dave doesn't like it, but
Yeah, he didn't. He brought us down on that.
Gremlins is very overrated. Gremlins 2 is a much better.
That's
movie.
what Murphy said. That's exactly what Murphy said.
Oh, it
And
is
Gremlins
way
1 is
more
still
fun.
amazing.
Yeah, it's way more
Thank
fun.
you.
It's got way better characters.
And there's
Everybody's
the C
very
movies.
dimensional in the first movie.
Vindication.
Yeah,
All these C movies were pretty bad.
I'm not
We
trying to
didn't
suck
like a
up
Bridge
or
Too
anything. I'm
Far.
just saying.
It was pretty.
Bridge Too
stale.
Far is a
And,
classic.
it's a slog.
See, I went through a
to
big war phase where
Yeah.
I watched pretty much every war movie there was available at that time, and that was
Fair enough.
still one of my favorite ones.
Bridge on the River
I
Kwai
like
is
the
one of the
Bridge
best
Too
movies
Far.
I've ever seen.
It's a great movie.
It's amazing.
I like to Bridge Too Far, just because of the spectacle of the practical effects and the whole
Very
thing that
big
just
budget, yeah.
bewildered me. I was just like, wow, this is.
Yeah,
It feels like
the
a
acting
real,
is a little
Tropic
phoned
Thunder
in,
film
though.
or something.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
that's
acting's
what
a
makes
bit
me,
phoned
like,
in, though.
Again,
Yeah.
pull back to that, like this reminds me of Tropic Thunder in the sense that, those guys were making a big budget real war movie with all sorts of special effects,
Yeah.
and they were also phoning in their acting, and it's just
Sam follows me.
Like there's inspiration.
Just so you know,
I know,
it's weird.
Sam
Yeah.
follows me.
A little,
He loves you.
but,
Oh, is that what it is? I don't think so.
yeah,
but anyway.
Sam, VHS tapes are what we would watch movies on, and they're VHS players
VHS.
where you would watch
That right there, that's a VHS tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Be kind.
Eventually, you wear the tape out, and then your screen gets.
Yeah, actually, my copy
Um,
of what was it? Back to the Future. My VHS copy of Back to the Future got so worn out that there was actually scenes in it where it would actually like kind of just disappear for a minute and then come back again. It was that
Yeah.
used. I watched that movie, had to have been 100 times at this point, easily.
So let's get into it, fellas. Here in
Absolutely.
Theater 1, we have North by Northwest from 1959, starring Cary Grant, Ava Marie Saint, James Mason, and Martin Landau, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Now, before we hit the trailer, I had never seen this movie before.
Oh, really?
No.
Same.
Jody has.
I have. Yeah. All three of these movies I've seen before.
But
I did watch all three of them in the last 2 days.
Again,
just
so
to
did
make
I,
sure.
and I had not seen any. So, but I've seen lots of Alfred Hitchcock, but I had never seen Cary Grant in a movie before. I don't think.
Really?
And yeah, so
he was
trailer.
sarcasm ahead of his time.
He certainly was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed what was presented so far, but yeah, let's get a refresher on this trailer. Too many Cary Grant, Eva Marie Saint, and James Mason.
Good evening,
West.
Alfred Hitchcock.
I'm an advertising man, not a red herring. I've got a job, a secretary, a mother, 2 ex-wives, and several bartenders.
Okay, I gotta tell you, the one distracting thing about this movie is the transatlantic accent.
Cary Grant.
Yeah.
Transatlantic accent.
It's I mean, it's so phony, and it's just a little bit distracting.
The only thing I have a problem with this trailer is the fact that it literally tells you most of the movie. Which
You run into that a lot.
Yeah.
It's a problem with trailer making.
Trailers all around.
A lot of trailers are like that, yeah, for sure.
Tell me, why are you so good to me?
Shall I climb up and tell you?
But I would never
I
seen
wish
Cary
you
Grant
forget
before,
the
but
name.
he's so charming. And, like, I see why
I've
he
never
was such
seen
a
Eva
famous
St.
leading
Marie
man.
before.
Oh, me neither.
I've never seen Eva St. Marie before. Oh my god, she took my breath
Eva
away in this
Marie
film.
Saint.
Cary Grant, Eva Marie Saint.
and James Mason as the man of sinister surprises.
Yeah, I mean, across the board, the performances
Satisfy you
were
is when I
pretty
play
great.
dead. In your very next role, you'll be quite convincing.
And he's slick, though. Like, he was like Robert Downey Jr. before there was Robert Downey Jr. He was like, he's just got such a slick tongue.
The thing that caught me the most is Walter Landau. Walter
Landau.
Landau, that's it.
Martin
Landau,
Landau.
yeah.
Martin Landau, sorry.
Landau looked,
He just
so sharp.
he's so sinister. Like it
Oh,
just
so
when he
he's got
was
those
younger,
eyes.
he looked even more sinister than he does, in the older days, right?
Way more.
I was waiting for him to do some crazy shit, but he really didn't. Like some
No.
like serious like evil Smithers shit.
Yeah.
But never happened.
All right, so that's the trailer.
That's the
for-
re-release trailer. That's the
Yeah, there we go.
I think it because the original movie came out. I think they came out in black and white originally, did it not? And then they released it in color. I think the original theatrical was black and white.
That makes
But I
sense.
could be
'cause
wrong.
When you look up images, you certainly see a lot of them in black and white.
Well,
And
yeah,
that
but
famous image
the
of
press
him
stuff was
running?
always in black and white anyway,
Yes.
right? So
Oh, fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. So I'm going to get into the synopsis on this movie. And Murphy, I know, has a lot of images that he loves that he'll put up. Well, I'm going to get into this. You ready, Murphy? All right. Let's
I'm
do
ready
this.
to.
The year is 1958, the year before the movie came out. And in a New York City hotel bar, a waiter pages George Kaplan. And at the very same time as the waiter pages George Kaplan, Cary Grant here, what's his name again? Thornhill. Roger Thornhill. Yeah. Summons the waiter at the same time. So he's mistaken for Kaplan and kidnapped, which is a crazy start to this movie, especially like it's not what you expected, and he's just so cool about it. Like he's being kidnapped, and he's just super cool. And what's funny, he's not like the spy character,
Which I think is actually the most disturbing part of the entire movie is the fact that like he's okay with the fact that he just got abducted. Like
yeah.
he's cracking whips and
that.
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
there's
a
lot
slick
of,
customer.
I would say like just people just sort of like, oh, this person is either getting abducted or this guy's running through and nobody seems to care. Like he runs past like through multiple securities and stuff like that. Like it's kind of hilarious how
and he's just
everything all just gets let happen in front of him. I find, but still.
oh yeah, the way the way the events play out in this movie, just I was glued to the screen. It's so well written. Like for a screenplay, it just like the pacing is so modern.
Yeah, I think it was definitely ahead of its time when you compare other movies of this time frame. It definitely the thing that struck me the most interesting about the entire movie wasn't even anything to do with the story. It was actually the visuals. Intro, the intro, like the opening credits and how they're doing the like North by Northwest like grid, and then all of a sudden it turns into like the building and stuff like that. I just think for the fact that this was made in what 59, I think
59.
Yeah, 59
came out in 59. Yeah,
like just like some of the cool things that they did in this movie were just they must have been ahead of themselves here. Like Hitchcock obviously is a very good filmmaker, but I just think from a visual aspect of things, I think that this is just a phenomenal movie to watch on the visual side of things. Even if you don't care for the story, it's still a pretty fun thing just to watch from a visual side of things.
It's pretty solid across the board. Maybe Peter's out a little bit in the third act, but honestly, I'm starting to forgive movies for that because 99 out of 100 movies, Peter out in the third act. It's hard to
it's harder to keep that third act in check for sure. Yeah.
But that's just like what Jacques Brunswick on The Simpsons says: the greatest feeling in life is not the deed, it is anticipation. So like that's why the first act is always the best. It's just like you're just anticipating everything, and in the second act,
See, I think the second act is
clearly...
actually the better act in this movie personally, but I think the first act is just filled with flaws.
Oh, in this movie, I would
yeah.
think so. Yeah. But the first act is good. Like it pulls you in right away. They just kidnap him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it starts right off. Like there's no.
He's just an
around.
ad executive, so it's like I guess he's slick in his ad exec business. I guess, but
yeah.
It translates.
Well, he's taken out of his element, right? That's the whole fish out of water type thing, right?
In my description of our episode here, I mentioned that we're basically examining the periphery of spycraft, and I think that's interesting. Like in this movie, the main character is not a spy. He's just caught up in
he's mistaken for one
type business. He's mistaken for one.
Which, yeah.
So that's an interesting kind of spy movie. And in Ronin, it's sort of like what spies do when they're not spies anymore.
That's right.
Like when they become the Ronin.
When they're done,
you know,
when they're done working for one particular agency and they're going rogue, you know.
And in the last one's more of your typical spy doing spy things, spy movie. Yeah, more akin to a James Bond or a Mission Impossible type thing.
I'll save my comments for Atomic Blonde until when we get there. But it's yeah. I'm not going to spoil.
There will be words. No, we'll get there.
I'm going to have words about that one.
North by Northwest. Yeah. North by Northwest.
All right, let's focus on the topic at hand.
So they take him to Townsend Estates, basically, where the bad guy Van Damme is just pretending to be Townsend. Though I don't think he ever says he's Townsend. Maybe he does, but he just lets him believe.
No, I think it's assumed. I don't think he actually does say it anywhere in the movie. Yeah.
But then he finds out later whose estate it is, and he finds out it's this guy named Townsend. And then he goes and confronts this guy named Townsend. Like, this guy's crazy. He's just like, I'm in on this spy stuff now. I'm just going to see how it plays out, kind of. Like, he wants to get to the bottom of it anyway.
Yeah.
So he goes and visits Townsend at the United Nations, where he's a diplomat. And he confronts him. And he's just like, man, I don't stay there, like, hardly ever. There's nobody there. He's just like, well, who are those people living at your house? He's just like, what?
This part is the turning point for me in the movie, because up until this point, it's kind of in my opinion. But once we get this scene, like especially the scene with the knife in his hand, right? Like that's when things just go full tilt in this movie, in my opinion. So it's right there is literally the moment when you're like, okay, now I need to continue this movie. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's the lock right there. Yeah.
And that moment's funny because that kind of thing has been done a million times since then, where like somebody takes the knife out of somebody or who's just been stabbed and gets mistaken for the killer. But it's like, it's so funny in this case. Maybe because it's older, but it's just, I don't know. It just made me laugh because it's happened so many times since then. I'm just like, oh my God, like I know what's going to happen here, but it's like, it's hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
He's clearly going to get mistaken.
You kind of know what's going to happen there, but at the same time, you don't, because he like, he grabs a knife, which is just like, whoa, okay, you just full on grab the knife and then pulls it out to be like, boom. Perfect.
That picture is hilarious.
Well, not only that, but realistically, it doesn't actually match the scene. So obviously, it was a picture that was taken after the fact, but it's
obviously
it doesn't match the scene because half those people weren't even in those positions when he pulls out the knife. So it's like, oh, okay. But
this movie is almost like every kind of movie rolled into one. Like it's comedy, it's action, it's got mystery, it's got romance.
Yeah, the sarcasm of Cary Grant, I think, is probably one of the shining lights in this movie. He does a lot of sarcasm.
As soon as they kidnap me, it was just like, so where are you taking me? I mean, I am being kidnapped, right? That's what's happening here, right? Like,
yeah.
What's up with that?
Can we bring up Murphy's mic a bit? I can never hear him.
Yeah.
Can you bring up your
Yeah,
mic
we
a
can do
bit?
that.
Either that or just Davin's a little too loud, but one of the two. Here I am running
Yeah,
your
I can
podcast.
bring
eh?
up my mic a bit.
That's the producer in me. I'm sorry about that. But
No, it's all good, man.
oh, there, that's much better. Yeah.
Yeah, much
I just
better,
want to hear.
anyway.
I'm here to hear both of your opinions, so that's why I want to make sure I hear you as well.
Of
You're not
course.
going to want to hear his
So
opinion
yeah.
later on Atomic Blonde.
Oh
So-
my God, this guy, Mr. I'm not even gonna get. We'll get into it later. Anyway, yeah. So the paper stabbing and all that stuff leads to probably one of my favorite scenes is the CIA meeting.
Yes, I
where
love
they're
this
all
scene.
just sitting around, casually talking about and figuring out the exact thing that this guy's going through, and just saying, you know what, nah, fuck it, we'll let him go.
Yeah.
We'll just let him. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just let it play out. Like, we can't stop it. We need people to think he's Kaplan now, because we can't let them know there's actually no Kaplan. Like, there never was a Kaplan. Kaplan's not even a real dude. They're just like,
Apparently,
that gets
no,
into
the
the
names
insanity
are used.
side, right? Yeah.
apparently they're in 2014 they discovered an ant, and they named it a certain breed, but they found out that that wasn't actually a thing, so they ended up renaming it the George Kaplan. It's like some type
oh
of
my god, that's amazing.
term for an ant. Yeah, so there's like an ant that, as of 2014, referred to as like a George Kaplan. It's more of no, not an ant.
Wow.
Sorry, it's a fly. It's a fly. But yeah, either way, bug of some type.
Oh, okay.
So he's on the run now, old Roger, and he gets on a train where he does meet the lovely Eve Kendall. And Murphy's got a bit of a crush, I think.
Oh, she's a beautiful
Oh,
woman.
dude,
Beautiful
woman.
she's a beautiful woman. Even to this day, I looked some photos up of her. Even at 98 years old, stunning.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Oh, she's a formidable presence in this movie for sure. So she invites him to his table later. So basically, she covers for him. Like the train police are about to catch him, and she hides him. And, like, he's gone that way, that sort of thing. And so yeah, he's has some dinner with her later.
Why is that showing?
They
Because somebody picked it up.
Oh, I just blocked them.
they share the evening together, in her car. And then he finds out that she's actually a government agent. But he agrees to help maintain her cover because he likes her.
I think
he's
the
not
one
one of
thing that
these-
this movie really does portray is the fact that the police are terribly bad at their jobs.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like there
Oh,
he
all
puts
of
a
these
hat on
movies
and
do that.
instantly he's invisible to everybody. Like
Ronin does that even more, I think, which I'm going to talk about. Like
Ronin does
they
do
make
that.
all
There's a
these
lot of
movies
NPCs in
show
Ronin.
that, like, compared to spy type people, the police are just bliss oafs.
Well, they're supposed
or
to be a
just
higher level,
negligent.
right?
Baffled.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, like so
I would have liked to see more Martin Landau in this movie, though. I felt he was
I would have
underused.
too.
Yeah.
I would have
yeah,
too.
he didn't get a lot. Him and Van Damme. He was like Van Damme's number 2,
Yeah.
or his number 1, I should say.
He's just so creepy looking. Like, you just want more of him. Like, in this type of movie, you want more of them. I find, but
So Thornhill gets to Chicago and he goes to Kaplan's hotel, and he learned that he checked out.
He gets to Chicago and he goes to Kaplan's hotel. Did you forget a little important bit after the whole like train, romance scene? Just from there, it's like, well, boom, Annie's in Chicago now. Are we just gonna look over this bit?
You
This
know, the
really
best
important
scene in the
scene
entire
that
movie.
happened?
Sorry. All right.
best scene in the whole
So
movie.
he's waiting at a bus stop.
Now, look at that visual, though. Just go back one if you could. That visual is fantastic, and we get this symmetry the entire movie. So Hitchcock takes this whole cross thing and just keeps going with it, and I like the fact that it's also pointing northwest. Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, I love this. Just him waiting at this bus stop in the middle of friggin' nowhere.
This is a great scene because, like, literally, he's
in a
just standing
suit and
there,
tie,
and then another guy shows up, and they look at each other.
Yeah. Oh, it's so weird. I'm like,
It's
what
just
is this?
so odd.
Yeah, this is.
He's
That
like,
was
you're
one of my
the
favorite
man
scenes.
I'm waiting for. He's like, I'm waiting for a bus.
Yeah, he's
You're
like,
right.
"Ah,
I
I'm just
scrolled
waiting for a
down
bus,
too
bro."
far, and that's why I skipped over this. I'm
Oh, okay.
reading a synopsis here. But yeah,
Look at the
that's-
honker on that dude, though, eh?
And while they're talking, they notice there's this crop duster circling around, and Buddy even says he's just like, "Well, that's weird. Dusting
No
crops
crops
where
over
there's
there.
Yeah. Everybody's like, huh. And it starts chasing him, and like epic. Like this is the famous shot there.
This is my favorite scene of the entire movie, which I think it's probably one of the most well-known scenes of this movie. So, but just I don't know how they shot this. I don't know if it was just projected on a screen, behind him or not. But it looked very good. It looked very good, especially for the time period.
Yeah. From my understanding, it was a practical shot.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
and stuff. Most of the shots of him like on a field and then planes and sky are generally practical. It was actually the when the plane, after he gets crop dusted and stuff, and he goes to stop this truck.
Oh God,
crazy shot too.
That's when things start getting like he's clearly on a green or blue screen here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And he gets knocked down. But
I love the look on his face when he's under the truck, though. Like just the look on his face
he sees
is
the
just
plane coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's coming into that oil truck, right? And like, and it happens so fast, and it just blows up.
The plane runs into an oil truck and explodes. It's crazy.
I also like the fact that the plane, because of the speed it was coming in at, like it wasn't coming in at like some insane speed either. Like it was
like bounced off the truck.
It literally bounced off of it, which in reality would kind of make more sense, right? Like it's not like the typical, Hollywood.
So it makes it look practical.
Two things touch and it's an instant like big bang explosion, right? Like it's I like the fact that there was some fire. And
do you guys notice anything particular about this setup?
Go back though.
They're models.
Oh yeah, for sure.
These are models.
Oh yeah.
There's a little fake person in there.
They did pretty good with it though, I thought.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Except obviously the fire is a little out of proportion, but it's
it's
Hollywood
they used
fire.
a bit of gasoline in the shot, but fun shot all the same,
Yeah, you know what? This is also 59. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's pretty good
really
for
good.
59. I've seen some
It's only when we
from the
slowed it
50s.
down. Yeah, we reviewed The Apartment.
Oh, terrible movie.
It's a terrible movie.
I never understood. I have one friend that absolutely loves that movie, and to this day I still haven't got him to explain how.
There's no explanation that
loves
can be
it,
had.
And I have no idea why.
Yeah, he just slaps the shit out of him. Oh my gosh, you should sue them.
It's brutal.
It is.
Who picked that one?
But yes, he does get back to Chicago.
I did. I had never seen it, and people say it's good. It's like, yeah.
No, that's the thing about movies, right? Everybody has that movie that other people don't like.
What we're here to find out.
Yep.
Yeah,
sure, that's what we're here to find out.
We
pick movies we haven't seen to find out if they hold up or if they don't. And
so Thornhill gets to the hotel, doesn't find anything, so he leaves. He goes to an art auction where Van Damme's there purchasing a Mexican.
Well, he doesn't quite not find anything. He finds Eva again.
Yeah, he finds Eva again.
But,
I do like this scene though, where he's in the bathroom and he's like faking the shower and he's watching her the whole time.
Yeah,
I love that shot. That's pretty cool.
True.
And if you notice, he's looking through the door hinge. He's not actually looking through where the door opens
and stuff.
Yeah. He's actually. And
then he eventually follows her to the bid place, though. Yeah.
He tracks her to the auction. Yeah.
The auction scene's great too.
Van Damme sees him, so he leaves to deal with Thornhill.
Yeah.
And Thornhill disrupts the auction until police arrive. And he says he's a fugitive murderer, but they release him to the government agency's chief, the professor, who reveals that Kaplan was invented to distract Van Damme from the real government agent, who is, of course, Eve Kendall. And, of course, he agrees to maintain her cover because he likes her. And this is where like the movie kind of loses me a bit. They're at the Mount
this
Rushmore
is the
Visitor
drop off
Center.
part. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for me as
Now
well.
he's willing to play the role of Kaplan, and he's gonna go negotiate Van Damme's turnover of Kendall to be arrested. Kendall then shoots Thornhill, seemingly fatally, and flees. Turns out that her gun was loaded with blanks, though of course this is all a big trick. Afterward, the professor arranges for Thornhill and Kendall to meet. Thornhill learns Kendall must depart on a plane with Van Damme and his henchman Leonard. Leonard is Martin Landau.
Yeah.
He tries to dissuade her from going, but is knocked unconscious and locked in a hospital room. Thornhill escapes.
He's so menacing.
Yeah, I know.
Love him. So menacing.
He escapes his eyes, man, and he's got this kind of like creepy "I'll kill you" smile too.
He's got that Norman Bates look to him.
So then Thornhill goes to Van Damme's house to rescue Kendall. At the house, Thornhill overhears that the sculpture holds microfilm and that Leonard has discovered the blanks remaining in Kendall's gun. Van Damme indicates that he will kill Kendall by throwing her from the plane. Thornhill manages to warn her with a surreptitious note. Van Damme, Leonard, and Kendall head for the plane. As Van Damme boards, Kendall takes the sculpture and runs to the pursuing Thornhill. They flee to the top of Mount Rushmore. I don't really like this whole scene. As they're climbing down the face of Mount Rushmore. Like, I don't know, maybe Ben Franklin's face. I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention to that.
Well, there's Lincoln.
There's George
They're
Washington.
getting shot at. Leonard gets
I think
shot
he's on
by a
George
park
Washington's
ranger.
face right now. Yeah.
Okay, he's on
Well,
Washington's
they're
face.
kind of getting shot at. They're getting chased through the woods, and they start climbing down. And apparently, while they were doing this, as you can see here, Eva Marie Saint, she was climbing down and she whacked her elbow, like legitimately whacked her elbow. It wasn't supposed to be a stunt thing. And Alfred Hitchcock was like, "Well, I might as well just keep that in the film."
That's her really banged her elbow. Yeah, might as well, man.
Yeah.
Happens
But
a
yeah,
lot.
they keep making their way down, and then
They make their way down. Yeah, Leonard's killed by a park ranger. Van Damme is taken into custody by the professor. Meanwhile, Kendall is hanging onto the mountain by her fingertips. Thornhill reaches down to pull her up, and then at which point the scene cuts to him pulling her, now the new Mrs. Thornhill, into an upper berth on a train, which enters a tunnel.
Yes, which obviously is a very phallic way to end it.
Sure.
This is the best euphemism ever, and Hitchcock thought he was the bee's knees for conceiving that imagery.
I'm sure he did. Yeah.
So that was our plot. What did you guys think of the plot and storytelling in this movie?
Honestly, I really think it's the weakest part of the entire movie. I think the visuals are amazing. I think the actors do a pretty good job of things. I think some of the action scenes are fantastic. But the story is probably the weakest link here.
I think the best part about the story is its pacing, because it does, like, the sequence of events.
The pacing is good.
Engaged.
Yeah. Well, I watched this with my 16-year-old who's never seen this movie before, and she's not into anything that old normally, and she enjoyed it. So she said, it was a good movie. So she enjoyed it. So she said it was a little campy, obviously, but every teenager of our age is going to say that.
Is the transatlantic accent. That's the
it's pretty bad. It is pretty bad.
He's
but...
supposed to be based
what do you
in
think,
Washington.
Yeah. The only thing that really bugs me about this entire movie is how he reacts to being abducted. Like,
that'd be so cool. What do you want to do? He tries to escape, like at the stoplight.
Well, he's a gentleman. He's supposed to be a marketing gentleman. He kind of thinks it's a joke at first. He thinks it's some kind of prank, so he's not totally freaking out until he starts getting like a little deeper and caught up into it. Mostly his freak out starts to happen after he, basically gets like a whole bottle of booze just like thrown into his face.
Oh, we forgot. We didn't really talk about that, did we?
That was a fun scene.
No, they just straight up pour bourbon into that cup and apparently made him drink it and then throw them into a car to go drunk driving.
Oh yeah, that was
A whole
crazy
bottle.
setup. In the driving scene where he's just drunk as hell driving is insane too. Like this movie keeps you
Well,
Yeah.
oh
freaking
yeah, the
engaged.
drunk driving scene would definitely not fly nowadays.
No, you
Like,
never see that.
you wouldn't get that past any censor. They'd just be like, no,
Especially how
can't do
he
that.
just kind of gets a slap on the wrist for all that insane drunk driving. They're just
No,
like,
he got a $2 fine.
yeah, exactly. Just pay the
The
$2.
guy's like,
His
just pay
mother
the
keeps telling him.
$2.
And a little distracting too is like he's clearly the same age as the actress that plays his mother. And I looked it up; she's actually 8 years older than him, but still, like they look the same age.
Well,
Like he's supposed to be
yeah.
playing this young 30-something gentleman, but he's like
Yeah,
in his
but Cary
50s
Grant
at this
wasn't
point.
even 30 then.
Definitely
like,
no.
Yeah, like
No,
it's,
But
definitely in his, like,
that no, he
50s.
was like in his 50s when they filmed this, and like
oh, for
he's
sure,
supposed to
yeah.
be this young gentleman.
But I like it. I like the sarcasm. I think the writing's fairly good, like the dialogue itself. I just think
oh,
the
the
story
dialogue's
is,
fantastic.
yeah, I think the story
Yeah,
is just the
for-
weakest part of the whole thing.
Let's
For-
get
for
to our
me, the
scenes that
film,
are pick
I-
our favorite scenes here. Oh, go ahead, Murphy.
All right, go fuck me, I guess. Shit.
No, no. I was already
Jeez.
clicking on it. Get out of here. Anyway, yes, fuck you,
for
but you can
me,
still
this
say your
is-
point.
You should have a segment called "Fuck Murphy," where you
Well, we
just
have
randomly
similar
cut him
segments.
off.
He's just waiting to do that.
Look, I'm
Anyway,
in
as
charge
I
of
was saying,
the pacing of this
the
podcast.
yeah, and you're always like jumping back and forth and won't give me a hot second to at least get my thought in here. So come on, give me a hot second.
You guys are both in
I
that.
thought
You're
the
both in that
film-
icon, so you know.
I thought the film was really well paced. I thought it was enjoyable, and I did enjoy, as you said, the dialogue was really well done. Each shot was magnificently beautiful. Apparently, the beginning opening was one of the first examples of kinetic typography for
Oh, really?
like an opening intro. Yeah, which was
That I
really
didn't
cool. I liked some of these like touches.
Good
even
example,
in the
that's for
beginning
sure.
when Alfred. Yeah, even the beginning when Alfred Hitchcock tries to get on the bus, but he can't get on the bus, you know, at the very like beginning before the credits and stuff. So like
Yeah.
it was like a lot of stuff like this is like out of all of these classic films, this is definitely by far my favorite one. And out of all of Alfred Hitchcock films, this is definitely by far my favorite one. Like it was a really solid film throughout. I felt, however, disappointed mostly by the final act and the
Yeah.
ending. I thought it was very like, that's it? Really? This was so like there was so much fun and play. There
You
was
had
so
all
much
this build
potential
up, and
for
it's
more.
yeah,
and
it's like being a teenager and you know getting your first run. You know, like it's yeah.
Yeah, you know, you go in and you deflated the balloon before you really got the game going, and now you just
Yeah.
got to deal with a soggy mess, you know, and then that's no fun for anyone.
That is a fantastic way of explaining it.
Oh my.
But speaking
right.
of soggy messes and wet dreams,
Scenes.
oh man, can I talk about my favorite scene?
Absolutely.
You wanna own
you,
it.
you wouldn't believe what it is, but it was the dinner date scene between Gary Grant and Eva Marie Saint. It was like just the tit for tat. It was such a modern date like conversation.
Here we are again.
Yes.
It's,
Recommend anything?
yeah,
The brook trout. A little
captivating.
trouty, but quite good.
The little trouty.
Quite good.
Brooke?
But
Yeah,
quite
so it's
good.
the brook trout.
And that's bullshit because brook trout is the least trouty of all the trouts because it's not a trout. The brook trout is a char species. So get it right, Alfred Hitchcock.
There you go.
I know, I look vaguely familiar.
Yes.
He's on every
Seen someone
paper. Like he
before.
keeps flipping them over and setting things on top of papers
You know, I
and shit.
have that
It's
effect on
pretty
people.
cool.
It's
It's
He's a
pretty
tinkerer.
funny.
Looking around on the tree.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a
It's
tinkerer.
a nice
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think it's supposed to
I wouldn't
portray
say
that
so.
he is a little nervous, though.
Oh,
Like
you're
that's kind of
that
what I got
type.
with it.
What?
Like even though he's
Yeah,
like a
you
cool
know, he doesn't-
cucumber, he's still nervous.
Not really.
Yeah, he's
Because
not
all these
quite
women
sure
fight
about
me.
himself.
Why?
I don't know.
I love this
Somehow they
line.
seem to put me at a disadvantage.
Because you're not honest with them.
Exactly.
Like that business about the 7 parking tickets.
What I mean is,
Although that was pretty
the
good.
moment I meet an attractive woman, I have to start pretending I've no desire to make love to her.
What makes you think you have to conceal it?
She might find the idea objectionable.
Then again, she might not.
Boom. Oh, kill me.
Think how lucky I am to have been seated here.
Well, luck has nothing to
I like
do
that
with
line
lucky
too.
I
Look
am
how
to be
lucky I am
seated
to be seated here.
I like how
I
he's
took
got
the steward
that kind of
$5
twang
to
to it
seat you
too.
here if you should come in.
He's so slick, man.
And
Well,
so
that's Cary
she,
Grant though.
man.
Every Cary
that
Grant
Yeah,
movie is
man.
like this.
Maybe my favorite leading man of the time.
I never
he's
discuss
pretty
on an
slick.
empty stomach.
You've already eaten.
But you haven't.
It's a bit trouty.
So much innuendo there. So much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't you think it's time we were introduced?
I'm Eve Kendall. I'm 26 and unmarried. Now you know everything.
I don't think
Tell
I'm
me, what do
buying
you
the
do
26
besides lure
thing,
men
but
to their
alright.
doom on the 20th Century Limited?
I'm an industrial
That
designer.
line killed me. What do you do besides
Jack
lure men to
Phillips,
their doom on
Western
20th
sales
Century
manager for
Limited?
Kingley Electronics.
No, you're not. You're
As
Roger
I said, the
Thorne at
dialogue's
Madison
fantastic.
Avenue,
It's just the
and you're
story
wanted
that
for murder on
almost
every
in-
front page in America. And don't be so modest.
It's
The
almost a
story's
near
not
perfect
bad.
movie.
It's just not quite as good as all this other
Don't
stuff.
worry.
If the
I won't
story
say a
was
word.
better, this would be a
How
near
come?
perfect movie.
I told you.
If the ending
nice
was better,
face.
this would be a near perfect.
Is that the
movie.
only reason?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a good
It's going to
story.
be a long night.
Yeah, the first two acts are great for it.
And I
Keeps
don't
me involved.
particularly like the
True.
book I've started.
Well, and since then we've had how many
You know what I
mistaken
mean?
identity spy movies? Like,
That
there's
makes
been
sense.
hundreds of thousands of them, right? So.
And this one's better than all of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Very cool
Yeah,
scene.
I-
Very cool
yes,
scene.
One of my favorite scenes. It really made me fall in love with her character, and that just like.
I'm gonna see if I can
furthered
find a
the
poster
story
of her and send it to you, Murphy.
more.
That'll be
Well,
my
there.
that'll be my gift to you.
Jody, what scene holds up for you?
Oh, it has to be the classic one. It's got to be the crop dusting scene. I love that whole scene. It just everything about it just screams awesome. Like look at how long it takes for this goddamn plane to come
yeah.
at him. And
Well, I
it's
mean,
just-
how long would it take you to think that a plane is chasing you?
and as it's
like-
coming down, he's just like, wow. And he face
And then
plunges right
bullets
into the
fly
ground.
in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then you
It's like
hear
that
it kind
plane's
of
not
taking
chasing.
off, and he thinks, okay, well, I might be all right. And then you see it circling, and then you're like, oh shit, right? It's coming again, right? And this time it
Where
might
can
be
you
worse.
run? Smart running into the core.
Well,
Yeah, the
yeah,
core was a
no,
good idea.
considering it is a
Stay
crop
low.
duster, and you know it's armed with tons of pesticides.
Clearly
so-
gonna dust him. Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
And that's like the 50s,
Yeah, I
so
thought
he
about
just
it.
got
What-
DDT'd.
Oh yeah.
Like, that ain't good
Like-
stuff.
What
He'd
are the
be
health
running-
ramifications of this? You know.
Well, yeah. 2 years later, his character dies of cancer anyway.
Oh,
so, like, what-
absolutely. That's the thing.
A lumbago got him.
They never made a
Oh,
sequel for a
man.
reason.
yeah.
He was already
Well,
in a
poor
he was
Roger
already in a
Cornwell.
hospital bed at this point.
the
like,
sad
just
part
the-
is his gravestone just says, "Here lies Kaplan."
Yeah. And then you see the crop dusting coming up, and he's just like,
Yeah.
oh shit. And look at him,
Doesn't
he's
try to
just-
cover
this
his
is the
face or
50s.
anything.
What do you
This is
do,
the
right?
50s, so they
Okay,
probably
maybe a
dusted
breath.
Cary
Okay, I'll
Grant
take this
with
off.
Real pesticides.
Yeah, but just I know
We
it's
need to make it look real.
I know it's a fairly common scene, and everybody
Great
kind
scene.
of references it, but it's just it made my day every time I see it.
Yeah, it's a
Alright.
solid scene.
What's yours, Davan?
Davin, what do you yeah.
What one did I pick, Murphy?
You picked the drunk tag, basically, is what I caught titled.
Oh, the drug
Thanks
tag's
for
pretty
it,
funny.
fellas.
Yeah.
Lieutenant, I want this man examined for driving
Oh, yeah,
while
this is great.
intoxicated.
Really? Yeah. You see, they try to kill me. No, he won't listen to me. And in a big
He's like, I don't need that. I need to see the police.
Let's just go.
And he's like there talking to.
I have
Somebody call the
questions though.
police.
Come
Do
on.
they really
Come
need
on.
to test them for this?
I know,
Right?
it's so
Like,
funny.
is it not obvious, fellas?
Like, he probably reeks of bourbon. Like, reeks of it.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Sit down.
He's not
He
walking
plays the
straight.
drunk guy
I don't want
very well.
Perfectly all right.
I don't want to sit.
We'll get
Perfectly
him.
all right. See,
He's like
Throw
laying
the
down
book at
while
him.
he's talking.
Assault with a gun,
dude's
bourbon,
drunk,
and a
like-
sports car.
The whole
Good
time he doesn't
be
realize
all right
that
after a
he's
good
the one
night's
being
sleep.
arrested.
We got a
He
nice
thinks
cell all made
they're
up and
just
waiting.
gonna try to
I
get
don't
to the
wanna sell. I
bottom
want
of
a
the people who
policeman.
kidnapped him.
Car was just
Yeah.
reported stolen.
It's just like, throw the book at him.
Huh?
Mrs. Babson up
See?
on Twining Road.
Right. I got a call somewhere. Where's the phone?
You're allowed one call.
Over here.
Better make it your lawyer.
That beat officer is the oldest beat officer that hasn't been promoted in the world.
8109.
All the
telephone
police are the
operator.
oldest people.
Bonneville
Any
8109.
police officer, security guard, they're literally
Yeah,
just
they're
these
all
guys
old.
on the brink of retirement.
Yeah. All the porters were pretty old as well.
Just a minute, please.
Oh, and he's talking to his
Calls
mom.
his mother.
Oh, Mother?
Hello,
This is
mother.
your son, Roger Thornhill.
God, this is a good.
Yeah.
I'm really drunk and I'm in
I'll
my
find out.
50s. Come help me.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Glen Cove
Bring the
Police.
bail money. You have to bail me out.
Green Cove
They say I gotta pay
Police.
$2.
No.
It's like the
no,
cool
Mother, I have
version of
nothing.
Skinner getting called into the brink.
No, these two
Yeah.
men, they
Yeah.
poured a whole
Yeah.
bottle of bourbon into me.
A whole bottle. They just poured it right in.
Into it.
They just poured a whole
It
bottle
didn't
into
give
me.
me
Come on, let's
a
get
chance.
They poured a glass and made him drink it.
Well, I'm not finished yet.
Yes, you are. Come on.
Mother,
Like, plug his nose
I
until
gotta
he
go
opened
now.
his mouth and just started.
Will you get my lawyer right away and come out and bail me
I
out?
never
Tomorrow
expected the line, they didn't give me a chaser in a
Tomorrow
movie
morning,
from
he said.
1959. That one
Oh.
friggin' hit
I
me
know
like a
all
ton
that.
of bricks. I was like,
Yeah,
You
that
want
was
to
pretty
know
funny.
who said?
Sergeant Emil Klinger.
Sergeant Emil. Emil?
Sergeant Emu.
Email.
And I think that also
Emil
proves our
Klinger.
theory, right? Like all
Yeah,
three of
I love
these
this
scenes
too.
that we
I don't believe
picked
it
are
either.
all good. They're all well
Sergeant
written.
Email Klinger.
I'm all right.
Yeah, I didn't believe it
Good
either.
Good
Oh,
That was Mother.
that was
Let's-
That
mother.
was mine.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That was the
So-
comedy in this movie. Like, it has everything.
There was a good chunk of comedy in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a fair amount of comedy and witty, back and forth. And
Oh, you had
yeah,
one
I
more
would
scene
say-
too, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did have like one more little scene. I did. That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so my one last little scene, and this is the one scene that just made me laugh out loud because of everything that's happened to him up until this point in the film. And he just starts like crawling out of a window.
Oh yeah, it's okay.
And he crawls into this other woman's room.
I love the music in the background though. It's very uppy. Yeah.
It's like music from a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Stop!
Oh, excuse me.
Stop!
Stop.
He's like, not right now. I have too much
Yeah.
bourbon.
Yeah, just a little.
I'll come
I
back
was like,
later.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, I'll come back
so
later.
funny.
It's all
There's
good.
There's something that gets me more than like when a guy turns down a woman in like the most like curt way. Just
He's
just-
like, not right
I
now.
laughed.
Maybe later.
I laughed.
Which performance would you hold up? Jody, you first.
Well, Cary Grant. I think it's
I agree.
it's a timeless performance. I think everybody can learn a little bit from Cary Grant and how he handled himself during this movie. I think just his line delivery is spot on. He plays off of the other players really well. He's got some really good little tiny nits in there, which make things fun. And even his facial expressions and stuff like that, and how he plays off, especially off of Marie Saint. I think that alone, I think that's probably the best performance of the whole movie by far. But I think Eva does a great job as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's who my performance standout is Eva Marie Saint. She knocked it out of the park for me. I wasn't expecting such a captivating and stunning sort of leading woman. The way she just sort of commanded every shot and scene, she looked gorgeous. She held it every scene in my attention.
She has a
to
smooth
such-
confidence.
Well, yeah, the confidence in her was just amazing.
I think she's a great
smooth
pick
confidence.
because you have Cary Grant, who also has a very good amount of confidence going on, and she outplays every single scene she's with him. Like she
Every
just goes
scene.
right past him when it comes to
Yes.
confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like even like look at the smirk on her face. Like
But
she's
should,
running
'cause
the scene. Like she's running
she's
it.
an agent.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's just this
Yeah.
dumb guy that got sucked into this thing. Well, he's not dumb, but you know,
He's
Well, I
gullible.
think that's
fool.
debatable.
Bit of
I
a
think
fool.
there's a couple
He's a
things
bit
that
of
are
a
kind of
fool.
dumb with him, but
Yeah,
I think those two perfect match. I think that was
Yeah, it was
excellent
amazing
casting.
chemistry.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I agree with you,
casting.
Jody.
Yeah.
For me, it's Grant. His character. I can't imagine that character being likable, played by anybody else. Like his character is almost
Yeah,
tailor made to be unlikable. He's like an ad executive. He's running around in a suit. He's
yeah.
too cool
You
for
want to
school all
not
the
like him.
time.
Yeah,
But with him, you don't. He's just very likable the whole time, and it's kind of surprising. And I really like Cary Grant. He's pretty awesome.
hmm
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
my first
it's the fact
introduction
that
to him, and
he's
what an introduction.
he's
I
done
think
some
it's the
great
fact that
movies.
because he's the leading man. Because he's the leading man, he finds himself in trouble often. I think that's what
Yes.
it is, and due to that fact, that's what makes him so relatable.
But I will
and
say,
sort
out of
of
all
like-
the Cary Grant movies that I'm aware of, anyway, or have seen, I would say
Mm-hmm.
these two pairings are probably the best pairing that I've seen with him.
yeah,
By far. But you know, again, he has had some pretty good movies in his career.
Setting aesthetic.
I love the
well,
setting.
it's gorgeous.
Aesthetic.
It's,
Oh.
yeah. Oh,
Every-
this shot. I forgot about that.
This shot's amazing. I love this shot.
Yeah.
I love the symmetry. I love the fact that
Mountains in
as
the background.
and the way he pans
This
around the
shot
trees
is so
is just
expensive.
oh, I bet. Yeah, it's got to be insanely expensive. But the one thing I liked about this scene is as they're talking, Hitchcock is actually panning around the trees, which is something that you don't see a lot of in movies because it gets distracting if it's done too much. But because the trees are so
Yeah.
skinny in this, he almost used it to frame them as they're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Oh,
cool.
yeah, for sure.
Really cool scenes. Yeah.
Yeah,
love it.
well, that's what happens when you pay for 100 pines to be implemented and built on a whole set.
There you go.
The only part of the
It was-
setting I didn't like was Mount Rushmore. I didn't need that. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, it
I'd
almost
rather
like
just
it was.
been on a mountain.
It almost
in the
felt
woods
like
on
they
a
were
mountain.
making a tourist movie at that point. Like it's
Yeah.
the Mount Rushmore thing. I think I know why they put it in, but I don't think it was needed. I think it takes too much away from our players at that point, right?
Yeah, it was basically a product of the director's initial visions and the ultimate script that was put together, and I think at the time they thought it was brilliant, and I'm sure at the time when watching it seemed brilliant, but this day and age not so much.
No,
It hindered
the whole
film a
third
little
act
more.
doesn't hold up, so to speak, in my opinion.
No,
But
not the third
Yeah,
act so
but-
well. But
yeah,
you know
except
what?
for the trees part. The trees part is fantastic. I think it's
Yeah, there's,
visually
there's,
a
the thing, there's
beautiful
so many
scene.
other scenes prior to the end of this film that's just like, this is stunning, this is hilarious, this is well paced, this is entertaining, like from top to bottom. I'm enjoying this film, and then at the end you're just like, well, wait, what happened? That's it.
Overall gorgeous. But I think it's
visually,
shot-
it's a fantastic movie.
We got movie morsels with North by Northwest, 1959. I'm gonna try and keep these brief. I'm going to keep this brief. In numerous interviews, Martin Landau said that he made a decision on his own to play the character of Leonard as gay and in love with Philip Van Damme. In an October 2012 interview with Davan Faraci, Landau said that he was cast in this movie when Sir Alfred Hitchcock saw me in a play called Middle of the Night, Paddy Chayefsky's first Broadway play with Edward G. Robinson, which I toured with after the Broadway run. He was there opening night. I played a very macho guy, 180 degrees from Leonard, who I chose to play as a homosexual, very subtly. Because he wanted to get rid of Eva because he wanted to get rid of Eva Marie Saint with such a vengeance, James Mason, to the day he died, he became a friend of mine, and the most often asked question of James was whether Van Damme, his character, was bisexual. He said, "No, he wasn't, but Landau made a choice, and there's nothing I can do about it." I actually caused him some grief. Everyone told me not to do that because it was my first big movie, and people would think I was gay. I'm an actor. I said it wasn't going to be my last movie, and it certainly wasn't. I've never played a character like that since, and I also felt it was something people would know or not know. It was very subtle. I thought in Boise, Idaho, they might not notice. Landau also said that after he made the decision to play Leonard as gay, Hitchcock and screenwriter Ernest Lehman were very supportive of the idea. Ernie Lehman added a line which was not in the script. Call it my woman's intuition was not in the original script. It was a very daring line for the 1950s. Men didn't say things like that, and Hitchcock loved what I did, and he left me alone.
Cool. I didn't actually
I thought
pick
it was
up on
really
that
cool.
at all. So
No,
that's
I
I know.
great.
I was like, oh, that's a pretty good line. I thought it was a good line. Call it my woman's.
It was a neat
intuition,
line,
but, like,
yeah, but
not. But yeah, the
we also live in a
the
different
controversy
age,
of it
right?
didn't-
So it's
Yeah, exactly,
controversy
right?
back then was probably much different than it would be now. Like for somebody to say that now, we don't
You-
care, right?
You'd have to be a little less subtle these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
MGM put a great deal of pressure on Sir Alfred Hitchcock to eliminate the scene in the woods. After Eve shoots Roger, MGM felt that was an unnecessary scene that incurred the needless expense of building the set on a soundstage using 100 ponderosa pines. Hitchcock, however, felt that was an indispensable scene because it's the first meeting between Roger and Eve since he learned she was a double agent. Hitchcock won out in the end thanks to his contract that gave him complete artistic control of the movie regardless of production time or cost, which is like what a contract. This film featured two actors who headed spy agencies in their own 1960 television series. Edward Platt starred as Chief on Get Smart in 1965, and Leo G. Carroll starred as Mr. Waverly on The Man from U.N.C.L.E. in 1964, and it spit off The Girl
I didn't
from
put that
U.N.C.L.E.
together.
in
Yeah.
1966.
Okay.
Additionally, Martin Landau worked as a spy on Mission Impossible in 1966,
Yep.
and the crop scene is homaged in X-Files 1998 when Mulder and Scully are pursued by a helicopter in another crop
Yes.
field. Martin Landau appears in both of those films.
Yep.
The cast includes two of the stars from the same year, and this is one that I know Davin's going to enjoy. The cast includes two of the stars of the same year's The Tingler from 1959, Philip Coolidge and Patricia Cutts. That god-awful film was directed by William Castle, who had always envisioned himself as Hitchcock's rival as a master of suspense.
fun little romp. Fun little tingle.
Can't say I've seen it.
Don't just save yourself the time.
I've
You-
heard
You'll
the
like
fun-
it, Jody.
No, you just watch our review and save yourself the time.
Oh,
The
okay.
final shot of the train entering the tunnel is a sexual reference.
Obviously.
Shocker. Sir Alfred Hitchcock came up with the innuendo and considered it one of his finest and naughtiest achievements. An Ernest Lehman screenplay just ended with, "The train heads off into the distance," or words to that effect. "There's no way I can take credit for the tunnel, damn it," said Lehman. Technically, there is no compass direction named north by northwest. In the process of boxing the compass, naming the 32 points of the compass by the direction, the points from west to north run west, west by north, west northwest, northwest by west, northwest, northwest by north, north northwest, north by west, north. There is a north northwest and a northwest by north, but not a north by northwest. The film went nearly $1 million over budget. The cinematography was by Robert Burks, edited by George Tomasini, and music by Bernard Herrmann, distributed by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer on July 1st, 1959, at 136 minutes, the budget of $4.3 million, and a box office of $9.8 million.
Not a great box office success. I mean, doubling your money's not bad, I guess, but like,
Well, yeah, but you also have to look at what that was worth back then, right? Like it's
true enough.
to double that amount probably was still a pretty good win when movie tickets were 30 cents. It's that's still a pretty good
Mm.
accomplishment, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
It's not like it
suppose
lost money.
nowadays it'd be like an extra 10 million or so.
yeah,
Yeah,
nowadays
and
you
then-
look at 10 million and you go, meh. You know,
Rewatchability. Yeah, I'd watch this again.
Yeah.
if you're gonna
Definitely.
rewatch it,
Yep.
I would say turn it off once they get to Mount Rushmore. But past that, yeah, like I think watchability wise, I think it holds up really well. I think this is easily a movie that you can relate to, even though we're 50 years past it. 50, 60 years past it actually at this point. So it's, I think I think it's got good rewatchability. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it is.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think there's
The fact that
solid
my
rewatchability.
16-year-old can watch it.
I think that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
exactly.
fair.
Like it's got, like as Davan said, it's got really good modern pacing, so anybody from today could easily watch this film and be like, okay, I get with this. There's a couple moments where maybe they might drag, they might look at their phone and lose a little interest, but you can get back into the story pretty quickly. And it was just a beautiful movie to watch, and
It was
really
visually
well casted.
stunning.
I was like, I don't know how, and I went into this, I was like, okay, no, this is a great film. This is honestly a great film. Even when I finished watching, I was like, did the ending ruin that for me? No, it
No.
didn't. There's too much good to outbalance that ending,
I was glad it ended
and-
though.
Yeah, like it definitely needed an ending. From my understanding, the concept was Hitchcock came up with the idea of just a random guy, random job, gets caught up in the spy industry. And
I think it's based on a novel.
Oh, really?
No, it's not. It's literally just Hitchcock and Lehman had come up with it. So basically, what happened was Lehman was scripted to write a screenplay version of another film, which name escapes me at the time, but he ultimately couldn't do it because he just didn't find any inspiration. And Hitchcock's like, well, why don't you write a script for this instead? Here's an idea. A guy gets caught into the spy industry. He's looking after some microfilm, and there could be an ending chase scene on Mount Rushmore. So they're like, yeah, okay. So that's what Lehman came up with. He came up with this whole script, and the ending was marred a bit by the production value of them trying to build sets that were similar to. They originally wanted to go like waist down, but they couldn't do that, so they cheated it from the neck up for the mountain and the portraits and stuff like that. And they couldn't do any scenes where basically if there's any violence going on, they couldn't show Mount Rushmore in the background, so they cut around during the
for
fight scene
Patriot
and
and all
stuff.
that, yeah.
However, there is one scene in the film, if you go back and watch it, where she holds him up and shoots him. When she's shooting him, you can cut to it in the back right corner. You can see Mount Rushmore in the corner. So I mean, like there is that.
Damn
like,
the
little-
man.
Yeah, exactly. Like Hitchcock knew what he was doing when he said that. He's like, okay,
Oh, no
we'll
doubt.
see. Let's see
Yeah.
if you notice this. So yeah.
The big question. The big question, fellas. Does it hold up? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, it holds up for me. Yeah, it's
have
an
ourselves
unanimous hold up for this film.
an A movie. Excellent. I'm gonna add it to
I would
the
almost,
list
I would
right
almost,
now.
you know what? I'd be so bold as to say A plus.
We haven't got into pluses yet.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
We haven't got into that kind of.
Out of everything we've watched so far, it's definitely the highest rated A. I'll give that.
this is the
Your
best
favorite
movie
movie of the
that
show
of the
so
three
far?
movies that I've seen today. How's that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that at the end.
Yeah, there you go.
We haven't added to the A list. North by Northwest. All right, so let's move along. So, Theater 2.